Hey guys, it's Amy. We're going to do a tutorial for the light bow from A Stitch For You on Etsy. And if you join the group, then it will be a free file that you can do. And this one's going to have 4 different flashing lights in it, if you can see them there. So let's get started. So I've hooped a piece of medium tearaway, and I'm going to slide 2 more pieces. I'm going to float them underneath for stability, since the lights are a little heavy. And the lights are for sale through A Stitch For You on Etsy as well. And this will be our placement. When I do large orders, I put them to a 5x7 hoop. This order's for 15 light bows, so we're going to go with that. That's why it's not centered in the middle of the hoop. I'm going to go ahead and stitch the placement for the second bow as well, so that when I put my material down, I know where to put it to maximize my space. Okay, we've got those placement stitches down, and now we're going to use our spray adhesive. On the stabilizer, make sure you use a temporary, not a permanent. This one is spray adhesive from Dritz. You can get it at Joann's. You can get it on Amazon. 505 spray also works great. They don't gum up your needles. And it holds your material in place, as opposed to traditional embroidery where you would use pins to hold your fabric down, or applique on a shirt or something. So this is the material I've stuck down here for our first bow, and you can see it's a blue holographic. It's thin flasher vinyl. It has no backing. It's not canvas or woven, it's just the vinyl, and I've adhered it to a piece of blue felt. So I'm going to hook that in and do our tack down stitch. And one fun thing about the lights is that you can change the color of them with what color felt you put over them. Let me grab one. So what we're using today is a multicolored flasher light. There's 4 bright colors: red, yellow, green, and blue. And if you put a colored piece of felt over it, let me show you with the vinyl. Sorry about that kid interruption. So what I was saying was, you can change the color of the lights by what you put them under. See, now they're blue and green, so that's awesome. The red looks great too. If you're doing something in red, check that out. Oh, there we go. They flash red. So fun. Okay. So we're going to do our tack down stitch, and we'll be right back. Okay, it's done our tack down stitch. I don't know if you guys can see it very much because it's the same color as the vinyl, but if you've ever done any of Carrie's other in the hoop bows for the mouse ears, this one's got a different progression of steps, so make sure you pay attention to the way that they're digitized. This one is now going to do the motif stitching around the edge and center before we put on the back, so that we can slide the lights in afterwards. So I'm going to start that. Actually, I'm going to trim this up first. I don't know if you've ever used these before, but these are snipper scissors or snips. You can get them on Amazon, and they are a lifesaver for jump stitches and anything in a real tiny space. We'll get this going. And just so you guys know, this vinyl is from Glitterbug Fairy, the holographic flasher vinyl. but the lights will work on thin mirror glitter canvas, and this can be purchased at Meat World or My Punk Broidery or Sweet Stuff by Jen. I'm Not a Geek Supplies. It also goes through the marine vinyl and the marine glitter vinyl. That's what this one is. And it'll also work with the Geo vinyl from My Punk Broidery. And there are many different colors of this one. It's gorgeous. So you can kind of just test it out. The darker colors won't work. The lights won't be able to go through black, navy blue, or any other vinyl that has a woven backing that is dark. So if it has like a felted back like this and it's black, you're not going to be able to see the lights through it. So just, you know, check that out, hold it up to the light, go in the, you know, closet or in the bathroom and check it out before you stitch it so you're not surprised and you don't waste your lights. We're going to let this finish and then we'll be right back. Okay, so the motif is done and you can see that there. It's gorgeous. We're going to turn the hoop over. And this one's upside down since we're doing two in this hooping. And what I'm using today for the back of these is a thicker felt. This is more like a premium, I think they call it. It's a little heavier than the regular. It doesn't stretch out quite as poorly as the regular felt. So you just want to line that up on your design on the back. And to hold it in place, I'm going to use some clear 3M medical tape. It is sticky enough to hold it down, but it's not so sticky that it'll wreck your needle if you end up sewing through it. And it won't leave a residue on the base of your machine. And it's just sticky enough to hold that in place. Then we flip it back over, and the next step is going to make sure that's sticking. Is going to attach the back to the rest of our bow, except for at the bottom where we're going to slide the lights in. So we're going to stitch that and be right back. Okay. So I removed the tape. And this is what it looks like. The bottom's open. So now we're going to install the lights. And there is a right way and a wrong way to the lights. So if you tilt it one direction, it'll keep flashing, right? Now watch, if you turn it to the other direction, it doesn't. So when you store these, you want to make sure that that you're keeping them the right way so that they don't waste their flashes. I'm pretty sure they have an outrageous amount of flashes they're supposed to have in their lifetime, like 100,000 or something crazy. So just make sure when you're storing them that you store them the right way. Carrie gives you a storage card with it that gives you all the instructions on how to do that. So we are going to put these in our bow, but when you do that, you need to make sure that they're facing the right way so that when you are finished, they're flashers. So if you see, if it's tilted that way, it's going to flash. So we're going to turn it over and keep it facing that way on the back. And this is the battery side, so you want the battery side face up when you're putting them into your bow. So I'm going to keep them at that angle, and I have my trusty wand stick here, just a small dowel rod that you can use to help you guide it in there. A chopstick would work, or a hem turner would work. So again, make sure that you have it tilted the right direction. And we're going to go up into the other top here. Again, we're using 4 lights in this one. You can use only 2 if you like. It's cute if you do one like in the upper corner and then the opposite lower corner. They do add cost to your ear sets, so just remember that when you're pricing your stuff out, that you know it takes longer to make these bows because you have extra steps to put the lights in, and then the cost of the lights, don't forget that either. Usually if you have a customer that wants the lights, they don't have a problem paying extra for them because they know what a neat element it adds to their set. So this is the 4th one. This is the one I have the most trouble with, I think. I don't know, it just likes to slide around the most and not stay angled when I push it down into the corner there. Okay, so you can see the back and see how they kind of stick out. And now we're going to stitch it closed, and I'll be right back. So the final step will be stitching the bow closed. We're going to slide the hoop back on here. And then I just kind of give it a little press down to make sure your lights have stayed in place while you turned it over. And it's going to be the 2 lines that are for the headband. So this one is all done. I'm going to flip the hoop over. And when you're doing more than one in a hooping, remember to always make sure that your first one is out of the way of the second one and not too close, because that's where your next one's going to go. So I'm just going to trim this felt a little bit on the back just to make sure my clearance is good. Whoops. And I'm going to go ahead and stitch the second one so that I can show you the finished product when we're done. So I will be right back after the second one's done. Okay, so both of these are done. And now we are going to tear away the tearaway. That is why the name is that. And we'll start with this one. So there's a method to the madness of tearaway. You don't tear this way, and you'll feel it. You want to tear away as much as you can so that your edges around the bow or the ear is clean, and you don't end up with a lot that shows. Just be careful when you're doing these because the lights will shift a little bit, so you want to make sure that, and you can see that they're still at the right angles, and then you can kind of push them into place where you want them. This one just moved a bunch. So when you're tearing away your stabilizer, just be careful that you're not moving your lights a ton, because they will kind of shift. So we're going to tear all this yuck away so that they look pretty again. And I kind of just hold them in place while I'm tearing. Trash. And again, this was 3 pieces of tearaway because I want them to keep their shape really well. With the heavier lights in there, I'm going to use my snippers and trim away the extra threads. Oh, and I do have a kitty. Sorry for that. He's kind of noisy. There we go. And you can see all 4 lights are flashing there. They're motion activated. And looks like most of my stitching on the back is trimmed. Just a couple of loose guys there. My favorite scissors for ears are these small gingers. I think I have 8 or 9 pairs of them because I go through them very quickly, but then I don't like to get rid of the old ones because sometimes they just feel better than the new ones. So, yeah. I'm a weirdo. All right, so here we go. So I wanted to talk to you guys about trimming. When Carrie designs these, she does not design them so that you cut right up to the motif. She wants you to leave, oops, sorry for the blurriness. She wants you to leave a good amount around the edge so that you're not cutting into your stitches, because when you turn it over, you'll see that it's actually a little bit closer that you're trimming. So you want to have a good amount there, that you're not cutting so close that the stitches are going to pull out. So I'm going to trim this up and then we're good to go. As you can see over there, there's 4 done. I've got 2 more to stitch out of the 15. And then all the ears. Woo, it's a big one. But they're going to look amazing at night. I also go back after I'm done. Sometimes when you're trimming this many layers at one time, they're not even. So I'll go back around the kind of the back to trim it up so that it doesn't show on the front. Oops. And with the bow, you can kind of take your, cut it how you like it. It doesn't have to be exactly even because it's a bow. And when you tie a bow, it's never even. I like to go in here and tear out the middle of my stabilizer. Just makes it a little bit easier to cut. And so you go all the way to the stitches, just as close as you can. These you can kind of bend a little bit to get in tighter. Just make sure the back of your scissor isn't catching your felt on the back. But really take your liberty and cut it the way you like it. It doesn't have to be exactly the way of the stitching. It can be a little wider in some parts. It makes it really cute, a little more cartoony. And these are homemade or handmade, and they shouldn't be perfect. No, exactly the same on every aspect. If they want that, they can get the ones that are made by a machine, right? Again, don't cut right up to the stitches, especially on the headband part, because you really want that to stay tight. And pull out your extra stabilizer there so that you have less white to deal with when you're finished. And get in your corner. Oops. This felt is a little fluffy, so you have a little bit more to trim. This one looks pretty close. And see how the lights shifted? I'm going to push those guys back up there and back into place while holding my center. And then I'm going to cut the bottom here after I get rid of this stabilizer. I forgot a piece. Sorry about that. And then we have one last finishing step. Which is a Sharpie. Buy every color you can find, because they will be your best friend when making ears and bows. See your white stabilizer here to make it a little bit more finished. You're just going to color that with a Sharpie in the closest color. If you're using black felt, you can use a black one and then it won't show at all. But it just makes it, just makes it a little bit nicer, a little bit more finished, a little more clean. And then you just go around and you find the rest.